Anticipation builds on the streets of Khan Yunis. After more than 15 months of fighting, finally, hopes for peace.
Qatar, the Arab Republic of Egypt and the United States are happy to announce the success of joint mediation efforts in order to reach a deal between the parties in conflict in the Gaza territory.
Palestinians rejoicing, jubilation for the hundreds of thousands displaced by this war.
I'm happy that the bloodshed, massacres, terror and fear will stop.
The ceasefire is set to come into force on Sunday, with outgoing US President Joe Biden confident the agreement will bring stability to the region.
The terror network that once protected and sustained Hamas is far weaker. Iran is weaker. Iran is weaker than it's been in decades. Hezbollah is badly degraded. And after more than 15 months of war, Hamas's senior leaders are dead.
The ceasefire proposal is comprised of 3 phases. The first involves a partial withdrawal of troops from Gaza, a surge in humanitarian aid, and the release of a small group of hostages in exchange for possibly hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Negotiations for the second phase will start on the 16th day and could see the remaining hostages released and a full Israeli troop withdrawal. And the final phase could see the bodies of hostages returned before the start of a major reconstruction of Gaza.
This is the right move. This is an important move. This is a necessary move.
As we announce reaching an agreement to stop the war and aggression today, we remember with all words of thanks and gratitude everyone who stood with us.
News of the agreement sparked emotional scenes near Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, where thousands have gathered week after week calling for the return of their loved ones.
I'm just going to believe it just whenever I'm going to see them, the hostages coming back, crossing the border.
It's clear that many people are very happy to see this deal, but there is also concern about the hostages who remain. Only 33 will be released in this initial deal. The fate of the others remains unclear.
Lee Siegel's brother Keith was taken from Kibbutz Kfar Aza on October 7. A joint US-Israeli citizen, he will reportedly be one of the first hostages released as part of the ceasefire deal.
I can't let my expectations get too high because they have been high in the past and dashed. So I don't wander in my mind to that first hug.
For now, it's a cautious wait for those who've already been waiting so long.
One key detail which still needs to be finalised is what time this ceasefire comes into force on Sunday. The talks will continue today about the implementation of this deal. And we also know that the Israeli Security Cabinet needs to vote on the proposal. That decision likely to happen at some stage today. It does not have to be a unanimous decision, but it needs to happen regardless so that Israel can formally adopt the proposal. And no doubt there will be meetings on that issue happening in the Prime Minister's office behind me throughout the day today. This deal has prompted anger in some quarters of the government, in some parts of the community. People seeing it as a capitulation to Hamas. And indeed, overnight, crews have been racing around Jerusalem, putting up banners saying this is not a victory. The families of hostages and their loved ones clearly taking issue with that, plastering photos of hostages over the top, wanting to refocus the issue back on the Israelis trapped in Gaza. Even though this ceasefire is due to come into force in just a matter of days, Israel is showing very little appetite for winding back its intense bombardment of Gaza. Strikes overnight have reportedly killed more than 30 people, hitting Gaza City, Nusayrat, Rafah and northern parts of the territory. Local authorities have said more than 46,500 Palestinians have died in the course of this war, and that number will only continue to rise right up until Sunday.